Hey guys, so today we are going to go over putting a Zebra Comic G nib on a Jinhao 750 fountain pen. The Comic G nibs are for calligraphy writing, and the Jinhao 750s are a cheap, great fountain pen. As you can see by my spinning here, hold on, okay, there we go. Got them spinning perfectly, and they actually even each other out when spinning. And if you watch how they stop, I mean, it's perfect. Could you ask for anything more in a fountain pen? That's why I bought them. They went for $13.80 on Amazon for a pack of 4, which is ridiculously cheap, under $5 a fountain pen. I think I bought the Pilot Varsity, the disposable fountain pen, for more than this. So these are a great price. They write great. They have a wet nib on them, and buying them for that cheap, I really didn't mind messing around with them. So I own a Noodlers and a Fountain Pen Revolution pen, both with flex nibs. And the cool thing about putting the calligraphy nib on here is it's extremely thin. So as you can see here, I'm taking 2 pairs of pliers, and you can see after I did some serious bending, there was a bunch of, I don't know, is it chrome coming off? I bought chrome nibs, but whatever the outside protectant sealant kind of stuff on the nib came off. So I won't be surprised if they start rusting. So if I do the math here, it's around $4.50 for this setup. So yeah, I don't mind messing around with it. So yeah, I didn't have the easiest time getting the nib and the feed out. I took the converter off here and put that to the side, cleaned everything off, and I haven't used this pen much, so it's very clean. There's a little feed and nib holder. It's a circular tube, which I'm holding in my left hand there, and you have to pull the feed and nib out of that. It's not the easiest thing. I tried doing it here with some pliers. I used rubber to pretty much try and save the integrity of the plastic. It doesn't totally work, but it's much better than putting pliers directly on the plastic. I did wreck the feed a little bit in doing this, I think previous to this clip, and in another pen, and you can actually take a really small box cutter and actually just readjust your feed. I have a feeling if I do that too much, though, I will definitely break them. This is not as easy to get out as you think. I've seen Goulet pens and a couple other videos on this, getting this out, and it is just not easy. You have to put some serious force into it. As you can see, I'm kind of going back and forth to loosen it up. And I'm trying by hand, and it came out. The pen that I did before this, I spilt my coffee all over my desk doing it. So yeah, you get the feed out, and you can see I just take my little box cutter here and readjust the fanned out parts of the feed. Not very hard, and you don't really have to worry about messing anything up while you do this. So you can see the nibs pretty well fit together there after bending it, and it fits pretty well on the feed here. You can tell when it's not fitting properly because if you push on it, it has a springy kind of tension to it, and that means the nib's too tight, and it's, in my experience, you have to put a lot of pressure into it to pull it really far apart. So what I'm showing you here is you want to line the opening of the nib up with the first crease in the feed. So the first little cut there is in the bottom plastic feed part, that's where you want to line up the nib opening, because I found that is the place where I usually get a decent flow. This pen doesn't have the most amazing flow. I mean, you're replacing it with a dip pen, so it's better than dipping it continuously. You have to shake it every once in a while and, dab it a little bit. I don't feel comfortable plopping this pen onto a piece of paper to get the nib to come out, so I do take the back off every once in a while and just push the converter to get some ink coming out of it. So here I'm just pushing the nib in the feed back in. I don't think it goes in all the way. I didn't want to push it in too tight where it gets stuck in there. Like, I actually tried putting a Fountain Pen Revolution nib onto the Jinhao, and it's actually a little bit thicker than, it's a little bit wider than the Jinhao nib, so I didn't force it in. I had a feeling it would just get stuck, and I don't feel like ending up having to break everything apart. So, yeah, here I'm just trying to push the nib back in a little bit more. Didn't go much further, and just be careful, these zebra G-nibs are very sharp, so try not to hurt yourself by pushing this in. So I put the cap back on, just slides on, put the converter back in, and let's let some ink out of the top of the pen here so we can get the ink flow started. And we'll just twist the converter until we have some ink coming out here. There we go. And I always keep a paper towel around because I do not need ink all over my desk. It does wipe off pretty easily, but So we'll just do a little writing test with the nib. I'm just taking a regular piece of paper, folding it into thirds so it doesn't rip through it, and I have a little cushion. And this nib actually writes beautifully. Since it's a calligraphy nib and it's so fine on the end, it does have a little bit of scratchiness to it, but the variation in line width of what you can get with this nib is beautiful. I am super excited as an artist, a drawer, as learning calligraphy. As you can see, it's not the best, to have this on a pen, to be able to bring it around, play with it, and not have to bring a dip pen around everywhere I go. So, because ink will come out sometimes. I found a trick where if you put the nib upside down and push, the ink starts to come out a little better. Now, I will try heat setting this nib because I have a feeling that heat setting it and pushing it against that plastic a little more will prevent this from happening. But it doesn't really happen that much. So all in all, I mean, this is a beautiful upgrade, Frankenstein, whatever you want to call it. Anyone who's into calligraphy, fountain pens, drawing, it's just awesome. I'll show you some line variation here, and you can see the ridiculous amount of flex you get. My Noodler's pen does not flex this much, and my Fountain Pen Revolution does, but this setup right here works way quicker than my Fountain Pen Revolution pen. I've gotten it probably a week ago, and I'm still trying to figure out where the perfect set is for the feed and the nib. And this seems to work pretty well. You see I have some railroading here. I mean, you're putting a dip pen nib on a calligraphy pen, or on a fountain pen, so you can't expect it to be perfect. But you can see there, I mean, the line width is huge. You know what, we'll do some small lines and some thicker lines. Let's so just some more line tests. You can see the difference between the small and the flexes. Beautiful. Like having this pen in my drawing Rolodex and being able to switch inks out on this is going to be amazing. I really don't know of another instrument that I have this type of line variation with while still being archival, still having a very unique quality to it. And now it's just something I can throw in my pocket and bring around with me and sketch with. And it's honestly, it's not that hard to do. This probably took me 10 or 15 minutes. I was dedicating, hour and a half to doing this, 2 hours, but I didn't need it. It pretty much worked right off the bat. Yeah, I'm gonna have some fun with this. I'll put some videos up of drawing with it, and I'm really excited to work on my calligraphy with this. All I can say is wow. Wow. Thanks, guys.